You like that? I didn't see what. Hey, teacher, back to the. These are just.
You need your learning notebook and your pen with you, and on your desk, the writing notebook.
Yeah, but can you put where I'm it's like what's today's teacher?
You'll find out.
Well, it's too right now.
Well, you want to write it now? Let's see what it's doing. So we had 2 out of 22 ready. Those 2 were myself and Santiago. So do you mind me saying your name like in a positive way in front of people? I didn't ask you before. I apologize for that. Learning notebook and pen with you, writing notebook on your desk.
I don't know where.
You see it?
No. Mr. Light, the thing of the brain was in a learning notebook. The thing of the brain.
Probably, yeah. Yes, what you write about your brain? Yeah, that was in Man, if anybody is live streaming this is scintillating television for them. Empty space.
The seats.
2 minutes behind schedule.
I'm here or in the center.
Oh, and each time? Well, these will change soon, the writing spots. I'll try and keep that. That's one mistake I make a lot is not looking at where you're sitting for other stuff. I'll try and be more thoughtful of that.
Like I want to see where Miguel is.
I am confused with the people who are sitting back here, showing that they might be ready, but then are talking or like playing with their slime or doing who knows else what. Again, if we look, we went from perfect yesterday afternoon, and 50% is the best we've done today. So, and it's just gotten, we went up and then we've gotten down. And now we're at about 10%. We're at about 10% of people. The 20%, no, 30% probably, 50%, 20%, 10%. Okay. So the very first thing I'm going to ask you today is, what is a place that matters to you? What is a place that matters to you? And talk to your partner. Or talk to someone sitting next to you. What is a place that matters to you? At this point, yeah.
Because I have family there and I don't see them like one time a year, and so it's very cool when I go there I can see them like here.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and 0. The reason I'm asking you this is another strategy you can use if you've been there when it comes to writing personal narratives. So what that strategy is, that is thinking of a place that matters to you and writing out just very quickly some events that happened there that you can write about. So for example, a little eraser is gone. So I'll do this here. I can think about 5D. 5D is a place that matters to me. I have a lot of memories from this classroom. I've been in here, this is my 5th year in here. I can think about what would be something big that happened for me. Well, not even big. I could write about that thing we just did about expectations, about cleaning up. I could write about community circle. Another place that's important to me, probably my childhood house. And some things that happened there that I could think about. I split my head open.
How?
Let's see. I found out my parents were getting divorced there.
So that is important to you because you almost open your head.
Let's do this. I will never judge and remark on what's important to you. And I expect the same thing. So if I write something down, it's an important memory. I remember it. So it's an important thing that happened. Also, just the way I played. Oh, I just have some stories to bore you to death about the games that I played and like all of that stuff. I mean, I could get into that. Playing football by myself, like American football, throwing the ball up, running, catching, diving. So that was huge for me. Just playing was enormous. So I could have a bunch of stuff in there. So that's what I want you to do right now. I want you to try that strategy. Okay, think of a place that matters to you. Again, you've had to have been there at this point. So it can't be a future thing because personal narratives are some real thing that's happened to you. Now, that could be the moment. Jose brings up an excellent point. The moment he realized he wanted to go to Dubai, that would be a personal narrative, and that would be talking about the other strategy we did the other day, when you realize something. So that's perfect. And that could be something you want to write about. So, but right now, in the next, I'm just going to give you 2 minutes, okay? A place that matters to you and a couple events that happen in that place.
Can you do the breaking with the writing?
You can, if that makes more sense to you. But.
Yeah. We need to have gone there.
Well, again, yeah, for this purpose, yes, it needs to be a place that's important to you that you have memories from. I'm sorry, this is not optional. Write down some places that are important to you and write down some things that have happened there. The objective today, one of them is when you leave this area, yeah. When you leave this area, you will already have chosen what you're going to write about today. So this, you might be writing about this today. This one.
Is it if we can put instead of a place but nature?
Is there a certain spot in nature that you go to frequently? So I would go that route, like my backyard, a park, my finca.
Or you could say forest.
Yeah, specific forest. Yeah. Another 45 seconds. How can you solve this problem for right now, where you are able to do the work? Trying to solve it for you. Doing nothing is never the solution, unless a wild bear is going to attack you. Then doing nothing is what you should be doing. And sometimes if you're playing hide and seek, like doing nothing is a good thing. But other than that, I can't think of any other time, especially in this classroom, where doing nothing is what you're supposed to do.
When a dinosaur, when a T-Rex is looking at you.
Yeah. But inside this classroom. Yeah, T-Rex don't exist.
Inside this
Maybe
class.
who knows?
T-Rex don't exist at this point. All right, so
Jurassic Park.
now, a lot of you, when I read about when writing is good for you and when it's bad for you, a lot of you talk about, oh, I don't like personal narratives, I want to write fiction. And I need everyone to stop writing right now, because this is extremely important. Everything I say is important, but this is particularly important. Oh, this was going to connect with the brain thing I was going to talk about. See, we miss things. Anyway, the reason we have you use personal narratives, okay, is that we are teaching you things that writers of fiction use. Every single strategy I talk about and show you and model are things that people who write fiction stories, this is what they do to make their writing better. Okay. The reason we ask you to think about your own stories, your personal narratives, things that have happened to you, is so you don't waste brain energy trying to come up with a story, because you already have it. So you are using your energy and your thoughts and your passion for, bless you, for developing your story and for trying these strategies that all really good fiction writers use. Okay? All of those books, those ideas came from somewhere, probably part of their life anyway. Probably they experienced something or read an article or did something. And then they use these strategies that we talk about to make it better. Okay, so that's why. No one's ever told you why you rewrite personal narratives. We will have a fiction unit at the end, so something to look forward to. Okay, but right now it's personal narratives. So, one of the things we do, one of the most important things you can possibly do as a writer is make sure you are using your imagination as you write. And one of the ways you use that imagination is called dreaming the dream of your story. Okay, dreaming the dream of your story. So you want to climb inside that character, who just so happens to be you, walk in their shoes. So go back to that memory. Really think about the smells, the sights, the sounds, the feelings, and communicate that on the page. Okay? So how do we do that? I'm going to go back to one of my things I was just kind of writing here. The one thing that really sparked my imagination and curiosity was this whole idea of when I was playing. I got super excited about it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to think back, because that's the first time. I picked the time in my past, and now I'm going to go back in my mind, and I'm going to close my eyes, because a lot of times if you really want to see something, you got to close your eyes. Isn't that funny? To really see something, you got to close your eyes. Weird. Okay, so I'm picturing my backyard. It's a little place but a lot of people have backyards. What's special about, okay, we had a deck, so this wooden deck that extended out. Oh, we had that big tree there. It was an orange tree and a grapefruit tree. And we could pick oranges and grapefruits and eat them, so that would be something. So maybe the smell of lemon, or the smell of oranges, the smell of grapefruits. I had the little, I had a sandbox and like a swing thing. It was made of wood. It was over here. There was bushes all along that wall. There was a concrete wall there. That was my backyard. That's going to be important for me to write about, because there's a lot of backyards in the world. There's a lot of places in the world that I could just say was behind my house. How am I going to make it mine? I'm going to make sure. And then what I do is I write. Okay, I write. Maybe it would start something like, one of the most exciting moments of my life was every time I got to open up the screen door. I would have to talk about it. It was black. It was mesh. It felt a certain way. It had like a metal handle, and it always kind of was dirty. So I'd always have kind of dirt. So I think I would open it, and then I would have to rub my hand on my pants because like it was kind of dirty. Because like the weather was eroding it, I think. So maybe it was a little rusty more than anything. So the most exciting moment of my life was opening up our screen door and seeing my backyard. My backyard wasn't like everyone's backyard. There was a grapefruit tree. There was an orange tree. We had a big wooden deck. And over on the left-hand side, I had a playground. It was all mine. My sisters were like 11 and 12 at the time and thought they were too cool for a playground. So I got to use it all the time. There's a sandbox. I could climb. There were some swings. And then to the left was an open area of grass where I would, by myself, play American football and be the quarterback and wide receiver all at the same time. So that's maybe how I would start my story. Okay, so what did I do? I went back in time. I found that place that's important, that event that's important to me. I went back in my mind. I closed my eyes. I really visualized it. I relived the details. What did it smell like? See, what did I feel? And then I told a story. Okay, so I want you to do that right now. In your head, I want you to go back, find a time. Maybe it's the time you already wrote down. Okay, maybe it's something you were thinking about yesterday. But at this moment, you should have a time in your life you're going to write about today. So go back to that time, close your eyes, visualize that. I don't want to see any writing at this point. Really relive those details. And in about a minute, I'm going to give you a chance to start storytelling with someone sitting next to you. So do that work for about a minute. Really picture it in your head. What did that moment look like? Be in your shoes. Go back to your shoes. Okay, now take a moment, and with someone sitting next to you, tell your story. Tell the beginning of it. Tell the beginning of your story.
Was the one
That you just thought of right now.
We are still late for the mini lesson.
This is the mini lesson. I've talked with them already.
So I remember much bigger than me. Like see one thing like
All right, if not both of you got a chance to talk, have someone else talk now, 30 seconds. All right, another 5 seconds. All right, thank you very much. Now, a lot of times what I'll say at the end of many lessons is that this is a strategy you could use, and I would encourage you to try. Today, you cannot write powerful and effective personal narratives or fiction if you do not do this process. If you don't dream the dream, if you don't get into the shoes and you don't relive the moments and you don't communicate in that way, you're not going to write the powerful stories that you're capable of. So every day you should be doing this. This is something that you really need to get accustomed to. Okay? This idea of really understanding what it was to be there and to feel it. Okay? All right. So for the share, so I'm adding that. That's something I realized. At the end, at 1 o'clock, we'll come back to this group. This is some area. And I'll have you in smaller groups. And so you will share one part of your writing from today. Not a sentence, but like a paragraph or a few lines. Okay, so just know that's going to happen. Okay? Okay. All right, so all I said was you'll need a part of your writing to share. Not the whole thing, but a part. So as you're writing, if you find something that you're particularly proud of, now start, have that ready to go. Okay, so again, always do the strategy. We don't have a bunch of time today, so the expectation is about a page. Okay, I don't think if you get to a page and a half, great. But you should have an idea already and get writing to that fast and furious. Donkey shorts.
the story, the